1 week season.
Guys, week 9 is here, and today pricing once again very tight on this slate, but Hilow is going to stack around the Colts and see if we can weave away to a high upside lineup. Maybe it'll have a shot at first place. Guys, you know the drill. This is the DFS Lab presented by 1 week season. I'm Cheeseman, your host. He is Hilow. If you guys could subscribe to the channel and give a like to the video, we would love that. And with that, Hilow, how's it going, man? And welcome to week 9. Hopefully you guys are all ready for Halloween. Season is running fast on us.
Yeah, dude. Week 9, midway point, flying by, dude. It was like we like regard week 18 as like a half week, kind of. It's like in a DFS setting. Right. We just like there's so much going on in week 18 that it's difficult to view it as a normal slate. So like yeah, we're at the midway point, dude. Which is pretty crazy. We definitely have the established trends we talked about last week. How like we're being able to weight these underlying metrics and how teams we think they're going to behave a little bit greater. We also talked about last week how like there's still some teams trying to figure their thing out, their stuff out. We saw Saquon Barkley go off. He was on his way to like matching Jonathan Taylor before leaving with a quad or groin in the third injury. Quarter. That's right. So yeah, it's a fun time of year. A lot going on. And pricing is probably tightest it's been on this slate than we've seen all season. We got Jonathan Taylor all the way up to 9,800. We have all three of Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson on the slate. We also have Jahmyr Gibbs priced above 8K. Wide receivers, Puka and Jamar Chase are on the slate. So like keep going, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Justin Jefferson, Rashee Rice, Devontae Adams. These are all guys that we like want to be playing. So pricing is really tight. We don't right now have like running back value. So it's an interesting slate to piece through, but I want to approach this build in a way that I don't think the field is going to, because there are some solid game environments. We're going to build around the Colts. The Colts and the Steelers has a 50.5 game total. And I think there's 3 games on the main slate that have a game total over 50 points. So this is like this is a very interesting slate to kind of piece through.
Yeah, KC, Buffalo, Chicago, Cincinnati, and then the Colts and Pittsburgh. And before we jump into the build, I just was, as you were talking, I was curious, like how your approach typically goes. Because I think like at least some players, I feel like for me, like I open up a slate like this, pricing is tight, and I'm almost immediately like discouraged when I look at it. But I'm sure for some people, they open it up and they say, like, what an opportunity. Most of the field is going to be looking at this and just kind of like, it's almost like that first impression of the slate can kind of determine the way you view it. Like, how do you view a slate kind of in your unique lens that is really tight pricing wise? Is this a struggle for you, or is this more like something you get excited for?
And it just makes the puzzle harder. Like we go from like 100-piece puzzle to 1,000-piece puzzle. Yeah. So like, I like that challenge. Like that is exciting to me. I like sifting through the nonsense. And if we kind of use that analogy of like a puzzle, how do you start a puzzle? You start with the edges. When you're building a puzzle with the fam or whatever you're doing, you start with the edges. You find the corner pieces, you build out the edges. If we relate that to DFS, that is like our macro top-down view. Like we have to look at the slate. So let's do that here. Like what is this slate telling us? The median game total in this week 9 main slate is the highest it's been. We have 3 games over a game total of 50 points. We have numerous other games with game totals in that kind of sweet spot range, which is typically the range where Vegas places these games that have a wider range of outcomes. And that's typically your 46.5 to 49.5 point range. There's numerous games in that range. Even the Falcons and the Patriots have a game total of 45 points this week. 49ers Giants at 48.5, Vikings and Lions at 47.5. You even got the Jaguars and the Raiders, for example, are a healthy game total of 45 points. Yeah. In another week, that probably potentially could have been lower, if we're being honest. So yeah, there's like from a macro perspective, higher game totals, higher median game total, more. This is the most. I think the most we've had on a main slate with a game total over 50 points this season was 1. We have 3 games with a game total over 50 points. So from a macro perspective, I'm immediately thinking like we're probably going to have to score more points to win GPPs this week. We're probably going to see more players hit the receipt. And we thought that last week too, and this is not like an end all be all. I said this last week too, and there was only one wide receiver that went over 100 yards, Rome Odunze. So that is not to say that it's going to happen. If we played out the slate 100 times, more likely than not, the score needed to win GPPs would be higher than your normal week. When you then consider how tight pricing is within that macro structure, now we're building out, building back to the puzzle analogy, we're looking for things that pop out on the eye when you're building a puzzle. You don't just start saying pick up a piece, where does this fucker go? You start looking for oh, where's the red? The red really sticks out. Can I put together the red section? That's kind of what we're into now is hey, we know that we're probably going to need a lot of points to score, to ship GPPs. Pricing is really tight. That becomes more difficult to feel comfortable from a median projection standpoint. So theoretically speaking, we should be a little bit more comfortable embracing additional variance as far as ceiling is concerned this week. A good way of doing that is through a primary stack. We'll bring that into play when we build this roster. Because there really aren't many places for value, and value is a function of our ability to put together a higher median projection. So without the value, with the understanding that we still need ceiling because the score required to win this week is probably going to be higher, in the context of the slate where we expect already scoring to be more robust, it becomes a little bit harder to hit that comfy feeling of median projection when we're building rosters. So I would advise this week, we need to be a little bit more comfortable being uncomfortable. And we need to build with ceiling in mind more so than median or that comfy feeling we get from projections.
Absolutely. No, that's great stuff. Okay. So let me jump in here to the SPY bill. I'll just jump in. And obviously you said you want to build around the Colts. Do you want to jump right into that stack? Do you want to kind of look at a couple of these other high total games and kind of how that relates, or where do you want to go here?
I want to start with the value piece because this is going to be difficult for the field this week. The first one's going to be chalky, and that's going to be Travis Hunter. All the reports out of Jacksonville as this team comes out of their bye are we need to get Travis Hunter more involved. He had his breakout game in week 7. I think a headline that was put out this week already was we're going to treat Travis Hunter as a wide receiver 1, all kinds of stuff. So he's not going to go under the radar, but he's priced at 4,700. So we'll just accept the expected ownership on him. We'll plug him in as a potential value piece. The second piece is going to be Colston Loveland. So there's a lot of moving parts here. First of which, Cole Kmet missed week 8. We saw Colston Loveland's role in the offense kind of grow with that. We expect that. Also, Luther Burden is in the concussion protocol. So Luther Burden being out. And furthermore, Olamide Zaccheaus is, hold on. I'm getting stuff mixed up here. Olamide Zaccheaus is day to day. I wanted to get that right before I just spew nonsense. So we have Luther Burden, Cole Kmet, and Olamide Zaccheaus potentially out. And again, this is Tuesday. We're kind of speculating, projecting here. But those 3 guys, and now we have a backfield that Kyle Monaghan is seeing increased usage. DeAndre Swift, we can't project for anything more than 18 to 20 opportunities. So where do we go for value? Rome Odunze sticks out. We saw, and we talked about this last week throughout the week at OWS, how Rome Odunze has very stark man zone splits. He was playing a man heavy opponent last week. He was set up well, and then he goes out and leads the league in receiving on the week. He didn't. Tucker Kraft did, but on the main slate of wide receivers, he did. So Rome Odunze's in a good spot. We don't really want to be overexcited about DJ Moore in this role, which is gadgety in this offense. So to me, Colston Loveland kind of stands out at 3,300 as a potential value piece. And then you consider the matchup against a Bengals team allowing the most fantasy points per game to tight ends. We saw what happened last week. The Jets get their first win against the Bengals. This defense is still not great. We've been talking about attacking them all season. I think an interesting way to do that is with Colston Loveland here.
No, absolutely. Get the targeting that Bengals defense and getting a value piece. Okay, so we got a couple of value pieces in here. Travis Hunter, Colson Loveland. Of course, obviously it's Tuesday. We don't know what is going to happen, but obviously a ton of stuff broke like last minute, which really made for a chaotic kind of Sunday morning. But okay,
Yeah.
where do you want to go next here?
So we'll go to our primary. I want to be attacking the Steelers defense. If you remember, back in like week 5 or 6, we were talking about how the Steelers had the most missed tackles defensively. And we were like, this is Mike Tomlin defense. What the hell's going on? Those have not really been remedied. What did they do this offseason? They went out and they sunk all this money into their secondary. They bring in 2 former all-pro cornerbacks on the tail ends of their careers. But this team is like not the identity of this team is not necessarily their defense right now. And that's a change for a Mike Tomlin team. What are they doing? They're allowing the, top 5 fantasy points per game to opposing quarterbacks. They're allowing top 3 fantasy points per game to tight ends. They are middle of the pack against the run. This is just like not really a team that is playing great. Now they're coming off of a loss to Green Bay. They are now 2 games above the Ravens. They only have 1.5 games in hand above who else in their division? Shit, I don't know.
The Bengals.
Bengals. Yeah, the Bengals. So like they have all the motivation, we'll say, for this week, but they have the Colts coming to town. And this Steelers team has like a stretch of 3 games against some pretty hefty opponents here. So I don't know. I want to be attacking the Steelers defense. I don't think of the 3 games that have a game total over 50 points, this is probably the one that's going to carry the least amount of ownership. We look at the Chiefs and the Bills. That's probably going to garner a ton of ownership. We're looking at the Bears and the Bengals. We just talked about that situation. It's probably going to garner a ton of ownership. So, we'll attack this Colts. We'll attack this Pittsburgh defense through the Colts here.
So I'm assuming then Daniel Jones at the quarterback, and I am curious where you want to go here with old Jonathan Taylor, who sits just shy of $10K in salary. But I'll put in Daniel Jones.
We're gonna go Overstack, and again, we talked about we have chalk already. This is already the game environment of the high game totals that we expect to be to carry the least amount of ownership. But we'll layer on that leverage here. We'll go Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Tyler Warren, so double tight end to get value.
Yes.
And we'll throw in Alec Pierce, because where is this team struggling? The Steelers, they're struggling against tight ends over the middle of the field. They're struggling against quarterbacks by giving up a lot of yardage, and they're struggling on deep passing when they're giving it up against wide receivers. Again, this is a team that has veteran, high dollar secondary, but they're a little bit aging. They're a little bit beyond, a little bit long in the tooth here. And so we're also going to add Alec Pierce to give that like splash play potential. Pierce is still on the field the most of all all Colts wide receivers. 2 weeks ago, he had a 10 target game. He's the downfield guy. Like 4 out of his 6 games this season, he has gone 67 yards or more.
That's amazing.
He hasn't scored yet, but if he turns one of these long receptions into a long touchdown, now we have like a path to 101 through the air for a guy priced at 4,600. So he gives us again some salary relief in this like weird build that we're doing to kind of negate some of the chalky pieces we already have here.
Yeah, dude. I actually saw his 50-yard reception on Sunday. He's not. I knew Alec Pierce wasn't a big guy, but he just kind of like positioned himself perfectly for the ball. It wasn't a breakaway. It was almost like Daniel Jones threw it up for like gave Pierce a shot, and he just kind of came down with it, kind of beat the corner on that play. I love this because like the Colts, they're still an offense that Jonathan Taylor has been getting so many touchdowns. Daniel Jones has not really had to put up a big game yet, but maybe Pittsburgh can push them. And if they do, and the Colts actually have to try in the second half, I don't think we've actually seen the ceiling of as crazy as that sounds, with them being like the top offense in the NFL.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this Colts team has scored 29 points or more in all but one game this season. It was their loss against the Rams. They've put up 30 points or more, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They are cooking. And if you look at their game logs, like the only games that were close were like their loss to the Rams, a 31-27 win over the Cardinals, and then their 1-point win over the Broncos. Everything else has been a blowout. So like you said, like Vegas is currently expecting this game to be close. It's got a 50.5 game total with the Colts favored as 3 points on the road. So if they're actually pushed, we could see some untapped ceiling even from this team.
Exactly. Yeah, that potential is certainly exciting. Okay, so we got 5,300 left on this build. So far, we got that Colts overstack with the value pieces of Travis Hunter and Colston Loveland.
Yeah, so we've accounted for 2 of the 3 high game total games. We're probably not going to be able to get to the Chiefs and the Bills just based on salary. I mean, paying up for Jonathan Taylor just immediately kind of means that you're boxed out of that game. Would love Rashee Rice, would love like Josh Allen, but we just can't get there here. So we'll go to another game and get a piece of a game that has a middling to high game total and a close. Well, actually, it doesn't have a close spread, but we'll go to the Vikings and the Lions. We're kind of priced out against most of the major pieces here. So we're kind of left looking at like Jordan Addison or Jameson Williams. And with the way that like JMO is really not taking a step forward in this offense as far as like his role, I kind of lean towards Jordan Addison. And Jordan Addison is a guy that like has more 30 DK point games over the last 2 seasons than Justin Jefferson. He just has this like big play potential, and he has a hefty red zone role. So 2 things that we're looking for there. He's put up double-digit fantasy points in all 4 of his games this season. Has a 24.8 score in there on that 12 target game against the Eagles. We'll just throw Jordan Addison in as a way to get a piece of that game.
Love that. All right, and that sets us up for probably another expensive back. But do you want to go to defense next here?
Yeah, let's go to defense and kind of go like as cheap as we can, feel comfortable about. And I think the Jaguars probably are that team this week.
Yeah,
I think on the road, but they're going to Las Vegas, a team that has all kinds of struggles. They have off the field issues, obviously just being in Vegas. They have off fields issues with Jacoby Myers. Can Jacoby Myers be moved this week before this game? Potentially. They have a quarterback who's making all kinds of mistakes. So yeah, I think we just attack Chino here. Jaguars team that until a string of 2 games, until a string of 2 games before their bye against Seattle and against the Rams, they were leading the league in takeaways. Now it's the Bears after their crazy run. But yeah, I think we just go the Jaguars here.
Love it. All right. Well, that leaves us. Let's see. Yeah, Kyren Williams.
Yeah, it's probably Kyren.
Yeah.
Just keep attacking the Saints. Yeah, it's probably Kyren. Just trying to target the touchdown upside there for the Rams.
Love that, man. And that wraps the build up here. So we got the Indianapolis Colts overstack, Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Alec Pierce, and Tyler Warren, with Kyren Williams, Travis Hunter, Colston Loveland, Jordan Addison, and the Jaguars D. Hilow, great stuff. As always, man, any final thoughts before we ship this one off? Again, obviously a very early look here on Tuesday. Pricing is tight, but I think that just the way you built this does have that potential for some explosive upside.
Yeah, man, just be comfortable being uncomfortable as far as median projections go this week.
Absolutely. Awesome, guys. With that, he is Hilow. I'm Cheeseman. Thanks for tuning in. And guys, hope to see you at the top of the leaderboards this coming week. Hilow, hope you have a good week, man.
Likewise, dude. We'll see you.
See you.